What's up, everybody? Welcome to another video. I'm Ralli Roots.
I'm Ralli Roots, and
together
we are
Ralli Roots. Did you know that we've been doing that now for 5 years?
Ew. Sorry.
So today's video, everyone, is going to be like a trip down memory lane for us. We've been full-time resellers for 6 years now, actually. We've been on YouTube for almost 5 years. I look back at our old Instagram post, and I think the first one was like five years ago, something like that. I know that our very first YouTube video was October 5 years ago, I believe. So we've been on YouTube for 5 years, but we've been full-time resellers for 6 years. So this is a video more kind of about like our journey from $200 to building a multi-million-dollar business at this point. And I don't want that to sound like egotistical. That's not what this video is about at all. It's just more to show people like we did it from nothing and it can still be done from nothing.
I don't know if you want to mention the rain.
Oh yeah.
I could put a towel.
It's pretty loud.
I think it's okay.
On top of the air. It's because the rain is hitting the air conditioner.
It's okay.
Okay.
It's fine. If you guys hear rain noise, by the way, it's because we live in Florida.
Yeah. It's raining every day, which is great, but whenever we're trying to film, it's
okay.
Obviously probably annoying for you guys.
It may like go on and off because Florida, if you wait half an hour, it's like a joke. If you wait half an hour, the weather changes. So.
Yeah. Like you don't like the weather, just give it 30 minutes.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But yeah, so today we're just going to talk about our journey. So why don't we go back to the very, very beginning?
Okay.
Do you remember the very beginning?
That's so long ago. Ryan sold my cupcake mug.
Okay. Did I sell?
You said the very beginning, right?
Did I sell your cupcake mug before we did garage sales? Like before that weekend we went out to garage sales?
I'm pretty sure you walked around the house,
Okay.
found things, and then you were looking stuff up, and you looked up my cupcake mug. And you sold my cupcake mug.
So yeah, I was bored, and we were kind of looking for the next step to do, right? I had a company that I just wasn't enjoying. We liquidated that company, and I was like, what's our next step? We knew we wanted to do something together. We knew we wanted it to be fun, and at the time, I was watching a lot of like cheesy reality TV, like Pawn Stars and American Pickers and stuff like that. So I walked around the house looking for stuff to sell on eBay.
And it was before we had all this stuff, right? It was like way before. We have tons of stuff.
And I looked in our cabinet and I found one of Allie's. It was like a coffee mug with a cupcake on the handle.
Yes, it was.
And I looked it up on eBay and I looked at sold comps and I was like, well, this thing's worth like $20, so why not just start here? It's free.
And so I let him sell my cupcake mug, and it was a gift from my grandmother. Like, why did I let Ryan do that?
I don't know, but
you really
thank
wanted.
Goodness you did.
Yeah, I guess so. So my cupcake mug is forever gone.
I also don't know why I started with that and not like a video game or like a GoPro or something.
Why does it have to be my cupcake mug?
That's a better way to start, by the way. If you're trying to get into reselling, a better way to start is to go around your house and look for quick, fast, selling stuff like video games, controllers, video game systems,
non-breakable items. As well.
Old electronics like old iPods or iPhones, stuff like that. It moves pretty well on eBay.
We need to do that in our own home as well.
We do, actually.
We are guilty.
Yeah.
I have like 2 computers that I need to sell.
There's an iPad on the wall in the kitchen that hasn't been turned on in like 2 years. So.
Yeah, there's so many electronics we need to sell. Ugh.
So that was the first thing that got us back basically into selling stuff on eBay. And then from there, because that sold pretty quick from what I remember.
It sold fast.
Yeah.
And it was fun.
And then from there we were like,
thrilling.
Okay, I remember when I was a kid going to garage sales with my parents and also having garage sales because we moved around a lot. My parents would like sell everything and move on to the next place and sell everything and move on to the next place. And I remember being a kid working at the garage sale. My parents would put a fanny pack on me and I would be the money collector and like the negotiator.
Aww, so cute.
So
how well that worked for you.
It worked great. So those memories triggered and I was like, let's just take $200. So we took $200 and we went out on a Saturday. It was just a one day, I think. We went out on a Saturday to garage sales to see what we could find, specifically to flip on eBay. And the funny thing is I don't remember exactly what the first items we bought were. I believe we bought like a new in the box Sirius radio, and that sold pretty much immediately. I don't remember what else we bought, but I know that I think we spent the full $200 and we turned it into like $400 within the day. So
Does
in the
eBay
weekend.
have that logged somewhere?
They probably
Can we go all the way back?
I tried, and it only lets you go back only like a year, so in the system. So I don't think. Maybe if I called them, I could get that pulled and see what the first.
We
go
should.
back.
We should
Maybe.
call them and ask them if they can do us a favor.
Yeah, maybe.
So we can see the first 5 things we sold on eBay.
Yeah, that would be cool. That would be cool. But yeah, so that was the main start to reselling, and then my brain went, okay, how do we? That was fun, right? But I don't know if it's sustainable. Like if it could actually be a business. So how do we actually turn this into an income, like a legitimate business? We weren't on YouTube at that point. We weren't on Instagram at all at that point. So we didn't know that that was a thing. We didn't know that reselling was a thing. So we didn't have anybody to learn from or anybody to teach us. We kind of just stumbled onto it and learned as we went. So after garage sales, looking at that and selling stuff, the next natural step, I thought, was thrift stores. Because same thing. We went to thrift stores as a kid, and I knew we could get cheap things and, go to thrift stores and flip stuff from thrift stores.
Yeah.
Hey, this is the first Salvation Army that we went to. That's the first thrift store that we went to.
Someone's alarm was going off.
That was the one that we went to, and I bought like $300 worth of stuff. $200? $300 worth of stuff? And sold like one thing. Because I didn't look up comps. I didn't know to look up sold comps on eBay. Yeah. So that was the progression from garage sales to thrift stores, buying stuff, and we're only selling like a couple things a week at that point. It wasn't like big money immediately.
Yeah, we didn't really know what to buy.
Right.
We didn't understand sell-through. We didn't understand the whole supply and demand thing, right? Like how many items have sold versus how many are listed. What should we not buy just because there is a sold comp? But what if there are 50 listings and just 2? Like we didn't understand any of that. So let's be real.
So we made mistakes. We bought stuff.
So
and we
many.
Failed. Stuff didn't sell. We ended up redonating stuff back to the thrift store. So
Which happens to everybody.
yeah, and it's good to make those mistakes. Like it teaches you really well
it's
not to what not to do.
Unless you learn those mistakes from somebody else.
Right.
Then you've learned those mistakes.
So we finally started to pick up a little bit of traction, and we started to accumulate, which I think a lot of people do. We started to accumulate a decent amount of stuff. I think we probably had 50 to 100 items. We were putting them in a bin, not labeling anything, just putting stuff in a bin. And then we put that in the guest bedroom, or it wasn't even a bedroom at that point, I don't think.
Yeah, it was just a room in the house.
A room.
It wasn't a guest room.
But it started to build up, and then we ended up turning our guest bedroom into our reselling space.
Yeah.
So we had a little photography booth. I don't know if we have pictures of this or video or anything, but this was, like I said, this was still all before we even got on YouTube. So we had a little photography area and
I
shipping.
made a photography box,
Oh,
out
box,
of a box.
Yeah.
I took a box, I cut the sides out of it, I put tissue paper around the whole thing,
That's right, I
and
remember.
inside the box I put a poster board in it at a curve, so you could put smaller hard items in
good.
it with nice lighting, and it worked really well.
Yeah, it worked great, and it was a great, inexpensive way to start taking good pictures too.
Yeah.
So we did that for a while, thrift stores and garage sales and estate sales, and built up a little bit of inventory, and things started to pick up there a bit. And then from there, we were like, okay, how do we take this to the next level? So then we started going to auctions. And one of the first auctions that we went to was a liquidation company. They would liquidate old stores inventory. They would do government surplus inventory.
Government seizure
Yes.
auctions.
So that was one of the first times that we actually had a really good successful buy. Was this liquidation company it was a police seizure auction. So they had all this
I think
stuff.
it was for a drug dealer.
I don't know.
That's what we think.
I think they only do it once or twice a year. So it's all the stuff that they've seized from people that got arrested or went to jail or whatever. But we went to this auction and there was all this Louis Vuitton stuff, which was expensive. We didn't
All
buy.
True Religion jeans.
Yes.
Everything was super high-end branded.
Yeah. I remember one of the best things we bought was a pair of Chanel sandals.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, or two pairs of Chanel sandals.
And you cleaned them.
Cleaned them up. I think we paid $20 for them or something like that. Cleaned them up and they sold for I think $150 or $120 a piece.
It was crazy.
So now we were like, okay, auctions. Auctions is the next big step. Let's start getting more inventory from auctions. So we started going to that one every single week. They had one, so we started going every single week. That mixed with garage sales and thrift stores. Now we actually had like a little business going. And then we went from there into buying liquidation, like returns and pallets from people.
Yeah.
So we met with a liquidation buyer who was getting like a lot of Amazon return stuff.
Like massive pallets.
Massive pallets,
Yeah.
and he was breaking them down and selling us the stuff that he actually let us. It was kind of weird because he let us go into his inventory and like pick out. So I would go to his place and stay there for like 3 hours at a time because I didn't know what I was buying, and I would be there on my phone checking comps on every single thing that I bought. I would stay there for 3 hours, check comps, make a pile of stuff that I wanted, and then make an offer on the pile. And then usually I would
you really
make
had to know your numbers for him because he asked like top dollar for stuff.
Yes.
But he knew you were reselling it and he could sell max amounts to you. So you really had to like explain to him every single time you went.
Yeah.
Hey, I want, I need it for this price or I can't buy it.
And
it worked.
At the end of the day, I was like, we need to be able to make 30%. So after we sell the stuff and pay the fees and everything, we need to be able to make 30%. And it worked out. It worked out where I was getting hundreds of items a week from doing liquidation. Great items that were selling fast, hundreds of them. So now we had like we had a problem. We had a problem at that point because we didn't have space. The guest bedroom was like completely packed. We ended up taking the inventory out of the guest bedroom and moving it all into our 2-car garage. Like we didn't park the cars in there.
Well, anything that was like a hard good.
Yeah.
And it was in a container, right? And then anything that couldn't go in the garage stayed under the shipping tables in the room. Yeah.
But it was a mess. We just had a bunch of stuff. We were doing well. We were shipping. I mean, I remember
one weekend we shipped 107 items.
In a weekend. Out of our little bedroom. By ourselves. Just the two of us.
Just the two of
and
us.
we didn't even have a thermal printer at that point. I remember printing out the labels and taping them on. To the like paper. Yeah, man, good times.
Yeah.
So we were doing well at that point. I would say we were probably making like maybe $10,000 a month gross revenue, which sustained us. We lived pretty frugally, so we were paying all of our bills with that money and trying to reinvest as much money back into the business as possible. Mm-hmm. But at that point, you could say like we were actually full time. We were making a full time household income just from doing that. Then we sat down and we're like, okay, we're at the level now where we either scale up or we just are happy with what we're doing and we maintain and this is it, right?
Right.
And we decided to scale. So so the next step was let's not live above our means. Let's try to find a warehouse where we can take our inventory that isn't expensive and gets the job done. So we started looking, and our very first warehouse that we found was 1,000 square feet of unair-conditioned warehouse space, and then like a tiny little air-conditioned office, smaller than our guest bedroom. It was pretty small. It was pretty small, babe.
It was the size of our master.
Okay, fine. I'll give it to you.
Here it is.
This is it. It's
racetrack.
It's not the racetrack, but it's behind the gas station.
Hey, FedEx.
Over here.
Oh.
So these are the little warehouses back here. And ours was over here. Next to... It was this one, right, babe? Wait, was it this one?
It was either at the end or that
Oh,
one.
no, it was. Because it was right next to the Jaguar guy, who I guess is still
okay.
there. It was this one. It doesn't even look like... I don't think anybody's in there.
We should go in.
This was it. This was our warehouse right here. Little warehouse next to... This guy was actually really cool. He sells...
He's from England.
He's from England, and he was a car reseller, basically. He would sell old Jaguars. And the guy next to us, which it doesn't look like he's there anymore, but there was a guy next to us that would do tinting.
Yeah.
And funny story, I remember one time he needed the space because he was getting his floors redone. and he asked to borrow our warehouse, like move his stuff into our warehouse. And we were like, sure, that's fine. And then the next the next day, he comes back and he was like, dude, I almost shot your mannequin, because we had a mannequin where we would take pictures of the eBay stuff. And we didn't tell him that he was there, and he walked into our office and he said he legit like pulled out a gun and was pointing it at the mannequin because he thought someone was breaking it. Hey guys and girls, I just wanted to say thank you so much for watching this video, and if you don't mind hitting the thumbs up button on it, it helps out the algorithm and tells YouTube that you're enjoying the video. So hit the thumbs up button. Also, our mentoring program is now open. The last time I checked, I think there were like 10 or 11 spots left. So if you want to come hang out with us and learn from us, I'll leave a link to that in the description of this video. So thanks again, guys. Back to the vid. But that was the warehouse. That was our first warehouse. It was $1,000 a month, which at the time we were like, the business can afford that. We hadn't hired any employees. It was just the two of us at this point. And we started hustling out of this warehouse. We found it was close to our house too. It was like maybe 10 minutes away from where we live, which was convenient.
Oh, so close.
But we got it in like the heat of the summer, and there was no AC in that in that unair conditioned part. So it was hot. It was hard work. And then I had the great idea at that point to start buying storage units.
Yeah.
So
Well, you wanted to buy storage units before, but we couldn't.
yeah, we didn't have the
Because
space.
we didn't have the space.
Yeah.
And that was how you sold the warehouse to me. We could scale up and buy the storage units, and we can move bigger things that
Yeah.
are in the storage units. And I was like, all right.
Well, I thought that was the next step, was to go from what we were doing to buying out storage units and then selling stuff from storage unit. I'd watched way too much storage wars at that point.
So much. So
But we started doing it. We started buying
Yeah.
storage units. I think we bought like five or six storage units before we realized that just wasn't the way that we wanted to do things.
No, it was not right for our business model.
Right.
And it was way too much work for the investment.
It's too much work.
It was not good. It
Not that-
wasn't a smart use of our time.
Yeah, not that we weren't making money. We were still doubling, sometimes tripling our investments on these storage units.
But putting in like 5 to 8 times more
Yes.
of our time
and
to
a
do
lot,
that.
a lot more local sales, not as much selling on eBay or selling on Amazon, which we preferred. We liked the whoa,
Oh, hey.
thunder.
Da-da-da.
So we liked the ability to list stuff online and then go to work when we wanted to,
Yeah.
not have to worry about meeting people. that
Meeting
flaked.
people is so annoying.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
So we realized that buying storage units, that wasn't for us. And we also realized about 6 months later of being in this warehouse that this warehouse probably wasn't for us either, because it was too
I got
hot.
bit by a spider.
Allie got bit by a spider.
It was on my arm.
Oh,
I was
okay.
very upset about that.
Yeah.
Because they didn't come in spray for
Yeah.
bugs. And there were so many spiders, and it's Florida. Like, we have really bad spiders in Florida
True.
that can hospitalize you.
Can't believe it.
So I was upset.
Yeah. So we had a year lease on that warehouse. So we ran off the lease, obviously, and then about like 8 months in, we started looking for a different location. And I was like, man, I don't even know if one, like, we can afford another place to go. And we're still doing well. The business had scaled up. Getting the warehouse was actually a really good idea, because we were able to get more inventory in there, even not from storage units, but we were able to scale up our business another like 20%. So we did make it worth it.
It was worth it.
Yes. But we started looking for an alternative to that warehouse. And then finally, not even like online, but just driving around. Because that's how in this
Oh,
area of
yeah.
Florida, that's kind of how you have to find commercial property.
It's
But
really
just
strange,
just
commercial property.
It is so strange.
It's weird.
Even like we talked to realtors and they were like, well, I don't know. we can't really, unless you have a budget of like $1 million.
The
to buy
incompetence
something.
of realtors renting out commercial space in Florida
It's rough.
compared to the way they rent out homes, it blows my mind.
Yeah.
It's like Disney World and Disneyland combined versus a carnival with like 4 rides.
True.
I just don't even know how to
Yeah.
compare it. Yeah.
So just months of driving around, looking for a property around our area. I found a warehouse check this out. I found a warehouse that was just under 1,200 square feet, fully air conditioned. And we were like, yes, this is it. This is the spot.
That's weird to come back here.
I know, right?
Oh, look, they have a charger.
Ooh, hi, Tesla. They got a couple Teslas.
That's funny.
These are the warehouses. Well, these weren't our warehouses, but these were the ones where we rented. This collision center, they own that building over there too. And they were always so loud. So loud. It made it so hard to film. Remember?
All the trucks going up this incline.
Yeah, there was nowhere to park. But
They kept parking in front of our spot.
yeah,
They would intentionally park in all the spots so we couldn't.
this is it.
That's it.
This was our spot. So they put the roll-up door back. This roll-up door was not here when we were here. It was like a storefront because the whole thing was closed and air conditioned. But now there's a big roll-up door. That's funny.
If we film inside one of these, people can see what ours looked like.
Smart. It was like this. It was
Exactly.
exactly like this, actually. Little bathroom in the back. It's a good spot.
Yeah.
I liked it.
Memories.
But it was good. It was worth it. Again, it was $1,200 a month, so we're only adding another $200 a month onto the bill for air conditioning and a little bit more space. The only thing was the actual unit itself was nasty. It had, remember that carpet?
It was so gross.
It was carpeted. Like the whole thing was carpeted and it was gross. And they said they think that the past tenant was like living there. Remember that?
Oh, that's right.
Yeah. They said at one point he had like a jacuzzi or something.
Somebody said that. Yeah.
Yeah. So it was gross. It was nasty.
Weird.
We ended up getting the lease, so $1,200 a month, and we ended up ourselves ripping out the carpet. We bought one of those like floor scrapers.
We rented a floor scraper.
Or not
like the
bought, we
grinder.
rented it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
From Home Depot.
Yeah.
I think. Yeah.
We rented it and we spent days like scraping the glue off of the floor.
But it was so worth it.
And then we
gosh.
got sealant and put it on the floor so it was nice and
And they
nice
just
and
took that
shiny.
out of the first month's rent for us.
Yes, they were very, very kind to
Yeah,
do that. So,
yeah.
so we moved into that warehouse, and that was like so much better at that point. And I think about 2 or 3 months into being at that warehouse is when Callie started working for us part-time, right?
I didn't know about the carpet, so I didn't know if you were talking about the warehouse that I worked in first.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
That
crazy.
warehouse.
Yeah, that whole
It was
thing
like a medical
carpeted.
supply place
Ugh.
before
Yeah, it was gross.
we moved in there.
Something like that.
Something like that.
So a few months into being in that warehouse, Callie started working for us part-time. So by part-time, I mean we couldn't afford her yet. So we started paying her part-time when we would go away, or if like we were going on a sourcing trip or something like that, Callie would come in and do all the shipping for us and make sure that stuff was still getting listed.
We had to make sure Callie liked it too, right? I mean, you
true.
don't want to just like throw somebody into something.
Well, and she had another job.
Yes.
To be fair, like we didn't want to pull her away from her other job that she was doing because it just didn't make sense. So Callie did that for us for a little while out of that warehouse, and then having Callie there allowed us to scale up even more.
So much more.
And having
So
an
much.
air-conditioned space that we enjoyed going to helped us scale up even more. And then we also started working with actual distributors and other liquidation companies, like much more legit liquidation companies, getting really good products and more electronics and more healthcare stuff. And that's how we started building our business. So now we had built up to the point where we're like, okay, Callie, this is consistent enough to bring you on board full time.
Do you want to work
Do you
for us
want to
full
work
time?
for us? And she was like, no, you guys suck. She was like, yeah, for sure. So Callie comes on board. And at that point, and also if you're going to start hiring people, this is something that you need to know as well. For the first, I want to say the first 2 to 3 months, we actually lost money on hiring Callie. But we knew that was going to happen because, it's an investment. It's the same as getting a lease on the property. You know that's money that comes straight out of
Took
the
time. We had to scale to
we
cover.
had to scale. But Callie being there super allowed us to scale the revenue of the business up. It also allowed us to start making YouTube videos. And
We got to do so much more. We had a lot more freedom, not being
Exactly.
tied to going there every single day
Yes.
to do the shipping with
Right.
the 1 day handling time.
right. So we were at that warehouse for
2 years?
2 years?
Maybe
Three?
3.
3 years.
Because
Oh
I
my
think
gosh,
I'm
I
almost
forgot.
4 years with you guys in August.
Yeah.
Or
Well, that
5.
makes sense because we've
In
been
December was 1 year.
we've been selling
for
for
the
6
other
years.
warehouse.
So 1 year basically
Right.
without a warehouse, a year at the other place, 3 years. Yeah, that makes sense.
Math.
So 2.5 to 3 years at that warehouse, and man, did we pack that thing out, right?
we filled
Or
that
me.
baby up.
We probably didn't utilize the space very well.
We didn't.
We could have gone up, but it worked great for us.
We
with
were
what
going to
trying
go
do.
up, and then I decided that it would be a genius idea to invest in property instead of wasting money on rent so that we had an asset and not an expense. Because property values are going up in our area, and I figured, oh, if we're only there for like 2-3 years and we don't like it anymore, we can absolutely sell it for maybe just a little bit more than we paid for it, and then we'll have rent free, right? Because it costs money to own a property.
Yes.
So even if we broke even, it would have been free rent instead of, what were we paying, $1,200 a month? Times
$1,200.
12 times 3,
Plus
right?
utilities and stuff.
Plus utilities. So I figured that's what we should do. We should buy a property.
Like, could we find something that could house our business for around the same amount that we're paying in rent, going towards a mortgage instead? That was the plan anyway.
Right. Trade rent for a mortgage.
So we started looking, and we have an amazing real estate agent. Shout out Katie, she's
Katie.
awesome. She found us this house back in the day when we bought this house, and she started looking for us, and she started taking us to a bunch of different properties.
Yeah, we went to some funky places. Like, we told her anything that's just big.
Yeah.
I mean, it can be awkward, it can be ugly, it doesn't matter. It's just our business.
gotta
No one
have
comes
space.
there. We just
Yes.
need space.
And yeah, we looked at a bunch of different properties, and nothing was working.
We are always on, like, LoopNet, right? And
Mm-hmm.
MLS. Like, we were on everything all the time, looking at anything new that popped up. We were getting email notifications, and nothing really
Nothing
popped
came
up.
up. And then through a friend of a friend, we found out about this property that was kind of close to us. That was, how big was that property? The one on Lithia there. It was like an acre, 2 acres. The one that we were going to buy.
Oh, yeah,
Josh's
that was
friend.
massive. It's like a 4-acre.
4 acre.
Yeah, that
Okay.
thing was huge.
So we found this property. We went and looked at it, and it already had like a structure on it.
An all-steel building.
An all-steel
It was
building.
About 22 feet tall.
It wasn't massive. It was like
Tall.
It was tall.
So we would have
but
lofted it.
The whole thing was what, like 1,500 square feet, something like that.
It was big.
It was
I
big,
think so. I
but
think
it wasn't.
not that big.
It wasn't sealed. So we would
Covered
have to
in spiders.
covered in spiders.
Oh my god, the amount of
They were big spiders, but it was a really good deal. It was like $175,000.
big spiders.
And we were dealing with an individual, so we were like, okay, let's get this deal done. So we were like, okay, let's move on this deal, let's get it done, and then that ended up falling through because the guy that we were talking to didn't actually own the property himself.
It was him and somebody else,
Yeah.
and then his dad didn't want him to sell the property.
Yeah.
It was very annoying.
Yeah, so we went through this whole thing. We thought we
Got
had a property,
financing, everything.
got financing, and then that fell through, and we're like, oh man. But luckily, we still had this warehouse that was working for us. Our business was running fine. We just had kind of outgrown that warehouse space.
Mm-hmm.
And then enter the church. It's actually kind of funny though, because the realtor that we were working with, Katie, at one point I'd been like, Katie, you know what would be the best scenario for our business is like if you could just find a big open building like a church, for example.
There's so
That
many
was-
churches
that,
in our area.
Yeah, that was like moving into another property
bigger
or a
church or
bigger church.
something.
And if we could just find something like that, that would be great.
Just buy an old church. And by when we say old church, it's not like a beautiful, nice church that you see up north. It's like a stucco square building with some windows.
Right. And then one
no
day,
walls.
Katie calls us and she's like, hey, I think I found the perfect property for you guys.
Which is crazy because it was listed for months.
Yes. We just didn't know about
We
it.
just didn't know about it.
Or it just wasn't like people didn't see. It takes a very particular buyer to buy what we ended up buying. But she called us and she was like, hey, there's this property that's 5 acres, 2 gigantic buildings. One of the buildings is 3,200 square feet and it's fully built out, air conditioned. It's a church, right? And the church is moving on to another building. And I was like, wow, that sounds awesome. And it was in our price range. So we were like, okay, that sounds awesome. The only catch is it's 40 minutes away from where we live now, our
Yeah.
house.
It was pretty out of our area.
Yeah.
Which is probably why it never showed up.
Probably.
Yeah.
Weird location for a church, but
Very bad location for
yeah,
a church.
strange.
It was like where houses are,
Right.
and all the houses are very spread out there on big plottage, so there wasn't like a dense population. It was strange.
But we went out to this property, and immediately, as soon as we saw it, I was like, this is it. This is the one. Like, it's 5 beautiful acres in the middle of nowhere. We can make a studio and film, and we don't have, people bothering us.
And I was like, I'm gonna have a panic attack. I just wanted a giant concrete pad and a big building on it and no maintenance outside.
Yeah.
So
Yes. True.
it's like, I don't know how I feel, and it's far away from home.
Yeah, for sure. But the potential of that property was just, it was too good to pass up. And it was cheap enough where we were like, we got to get it. So we did. We ended up
So we
buying
did.
it. We bought that property for $280,000, I think is what we paid
Yeah,
for
it was $279.
$279,000 right before the property values in this area went bananas.
Sky
Yeah.
high.
So, and then we ended up putting a little bit of money into it. It was also carpeted. What's with us buying warehouses with
Some
dirty carpet?
moldy carpet
Yeah.
too. It was nasty.
So we had to rip all that out. Allie completely renovated the bathrooms. We ended up building a studio space, doing the floors, painting. We painted it red.
On the outside.
Some of you guys.
And it
may
has
have seen
not faded.
No, it's been great.
It's
It's
been
been great.
But most of that building is like kind of in the shade.
Yeah.
And the whole front of the building is in the shade, so the back of the building, if it fades, we would never know because we
Right.
don't go back there. There's only this much space between us and the property behind us, or
Right.
next
Next.
to us. So we don't go behind the building, which is
Right.
the only wall that would fade because the rest aren't really in direct sunlight
True.
because of the trees.
And then we also got like a bunch of tree work done. We got the roofs pressure washed. We just cleaned up the property.
We cleaned it up. The trees really needed to get trimmed. It looked pretty dangerous.
Mm-hmm.
Like branches potentially falling, the trees maybe even falling on the roof. And we didn't want to risk our investment getting damaged by the trees that were too close to the building. Then we trimmed up the ones in the front of the property just so the property looked really nice,
Right.
knowing we probably won't have to trim them for 8 to 10 years,
Right.
hopefully. That was the hope.
So we ended up moving everything from our old warehouse into this brand new warehouse once it was all done. And that's where we are now. That's where we stand right now.
Yeah.
And the next step for us is, which a lot of you know already, is we're turning one of the buildings out there into a new home for ourselves, and then the other big warehouse into the new business warehouse. So it's going to give us more space for the business, and we're going to be able to live out on the property ourselves. We'll end up renting this house out and moving out to the warehouse. So that's...
Well, let's talk about that real fast.
Yeah.
So we purchased the property in December of 2019. 2019. We purchased the property in December of 2019, and that means we moved in. So we owned the property and we're in the property for a full year, December of 2020. We decided in January of 21, which is this year, 2021, that, maybe we could move out here. My mom came and she was like really pushing. She's like, you guys should turn this into a house or just talk to a design firm, see what they have to say, see if it's doable, see what a budget is. And then in January we were like, okay, yeah, maybe we should do this. So we went and spoke to a design firm and decided, yeah, let's move out there. So in February, we started the process of converting the building to become a house for ourselves.
5 months later, the design work's done.
Yes,
and
it's all done.
We're interviewing contractors to get it started.
Yeah, we weren't rushing because it's been insane this
Yeah.
year, right? But I spoke to contractors and they're saying that the prices and the supply chain line and the labor is getting much better. The permitting process is going to take about 3 months in our area, maybe longer. It just depends because everything is like post-COVID, right? But it's good that it took a while for the design and everything because contractors are so busy in our area anyways. And I was like, let's just take it easy, take it slow. We don't have to rush into anything. We'll make better choices, not rushing, and we'll financially be better off not rushing as well.
Yeah.
So yeah.
It's an exciting time for us, and it's been, 6 years. It's been a 6-year journey to get to this point.
This is the last thing I ever thought I would have done with my life.
Is that a
Just
good
want to
thing or
throw
a
that out
bad
there.
thing?
I'm excited that I'm doing something that I didn't even consider
Yeah.
as part of my future for myself.
Yeah.
That my life has taken me there.
That's what's so cool though about the journey so far is that we've never really we've had goals and a game plan around certain things, but we've always kind of just let it naturally happen, and we've been willing to go with the flow and do what needs to be done to grow.
Right. Like if we'd moved into a high rise in the city for a year just to experience living in a city for a year, I could have seen that happening.
Yeah.
I've always wanted to live in a giant city for just a year in a high rise. I always
Right.
thought, yeah, that would be really cool. But we've stayed with friends in cities for a whole week at a time, and it kind of loses its like appeal after the end of the week. You know,
It's
Not
also
really.
something that we can always do.
We can
you know?
still do that,
Like
yeah.
we're gonna have a home base fully done and ready with our business there, and hopefully Callie will be living on the property as well. So if
We're
we
gonna figure that
if we
out.
do want to go travel for a year, that's the game plan, is to have like a home base that's still close to friends and family and nice for us, and our business is running, and then it allows us to go jump off and do other things too. So that's the game plan. That's the idea of it. You know, going back to the point of this video is we just wanted to share our journey so far with you guys so that you can see. We started this with $200. We were not wealthy when we started this journey. We were not.
No.
We didn't have $1 million in the bank. I promise you.
What, you remember how much we had in the bank?
It
when we
was
started
like seven.
reselling?
It was like $7,000.
No, it was less.
$3,000.
It was about little less than $4,000.
Okay.
That we had saved.
Yeah, we got down. We got down to the bones a
We
little
were
bit
getting
there.
close to $3,000
Yeah.
in the bank. That's it. All of our money. No health insurance. No any insurance of any sort.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
we had to make moves for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. We almost had to go get jobs.
We were trying to figure out a different business.
Yeah.
And we tried
for
a
sure.
couple of different
we
things.
Did. Yeah, we did other
but
things
they just
too.
were not for us.
But again, I just wanted to show like you can still do this. If this is something that you want to do, you can do it as a hobby, you can do it on the side, and you can be successful. Like I said, we were doing almost $10,000 a month out of our home before we got a warehouse. So if
That's
you have
just the garage in a bedroom.
yeah, if you have
the
extra
rest of the
space
house.
in your house, like you can do it. You can make money out of your home. You don't have to go get a warehouse. You don't have to do any of that. But if you want to build your business into, you know, a bigger business, it's also very, very possible still to do that.
Yes.
It takes time, though.
And it
Keep that in
takes
mind.
dedication. Like if you're a very organized person, this would work for you.
Yeah.
If you're an extremely disorganized person, very messy, you have a hard time keeping up with things, this will be a very difficult thing for you. And probably for most people in that situation where their like mental space is like, or their physical space is very scattered and disorganized, and mentally they have a hard time organizing things, it's probably not right for most of those people.
Sure.
You can do it, but it's going to be harder than for someone who's naturally an extremely organized person, which is me, and not Ryan.
Not me.
That was very difficult.
That's why this works, though.
Yeah, I had to keep everything so neat, so tidy, so organized because we had very little space to work in, and we needed to be able to find everything and figure out a different way to organize everything so that we could find it whenever we acquired more.
Right. And then also keep in mind, like I said, it takes time, but also there's going to be ups and downs. There's massive ups and downs in this business, and you have to be ready to roll with the punches. There were times when I wanted to quit doing it.
Yeah, there
you
were
know?
definitely times where we didn't know if this was the right career choice.
There were times where we put all of our money into one last purchase, you know, to buy a bunch of stuff to resell it. Like we took a gamble doing that to get to that next level. So you have to be willing to take risks. You have to know that bad things can happen and you have to get past it and push through it. And you have to know that it's a journey, but you have to be, you know, excited about enjoying the journey.
Yeah, anyone can make it work. You have to make it work.
Yeah.
I mean, but there are ideal situations, right? Like if one person in the relationship is working a full-time job, they have good health care, paying well, and the other person decides I'm going to do reselling and build it up, and they've saved a bunch of money from their like prior career, put it aside, and then you put that into it, and then you build it up, and then, you know, your spouse who has their career, maybe they want to join the reselling. I think that's a really good way to
Yes,
start
I do too.
for most people.
I do too.
I think starting it as a hobby, seeing if you like it, and then making it full time is definitely the smartest way to go. Don't just
sure.
like quit your job and start reselling.
Yeah.
We always tell people, please do not do that because you might hate it, and it might not be right for you.
Right.
It might not be fun. You might do it for a few months and then just not want to do it anymore.
Yeah, true.
And then you quit your job. So there's a lot of things to consider.
And we also have like 5 years of our journey and videos now on YouTube that you can go back and watch if you want
That's so
to avoid mistakes
crazy.
that we've made and learn from us. I mean, I think that if we had the knowledge that we have now, we could probably do the same thing that we've done in 2 years instead of 6. You know what I mean? So yeah, definitely go check it out and subscribe to the channel too if you want to continue to follow our journey. Who knows what's going to happen in our lives, really?
Well, I can
It's gonna
tell
be a fun journey to
you,
open.
we're gonna move to the barndominium. I'm gonna decorate that whole place, so you're gonna get tons of decoration videos. I'm going to have my studio right there where I can craft, and Callie's gonna help do the editing, so I'll just be able to make massive amounts of videos, and we're gonna have so much fun, because you know Callie and I, we know how to have fun together. And then I want to get bees.
Okay.
Gonna do some gardening. I'm gonna do a greenhouse.
Goats.
Guys, we're gonna have goats. Brian's gonna make goat ice
Ralli
cream.
Roots Ranch.
Goat milk ice cream. It's going to be so exciting.
We
so
might
that's
do-
what's going to happen.
We might do big meetups at the property. You never know.
Yeah, and
So,
if that's something that you think you might be interested in the future, stay tuned, because in
Yes.
the next 5 years, there's going to be that. I mean, there'll still be all of the reselling. We'll probably have to make a separate channel
course.
if you're not interested in that.
There'll
But
be
I think a
separate
lot of people kind of want to see where our lives go because they're already this deep into them.
Yeah.
Like, why not just see what happens?
yeah.
But also, we're gonna make goat milk ice cream.
Okay.
Can we do that?
Yes,
Okay,
yeah,
we're
for
doing
sure. And then I guess the last thing I want to say in this video is thank you to everybody who's stuck with us. Also the new people that have subscribed, obviously,
Yeah.
but the people that have been with us since the beginning, let us know in the comments too if that's one of you guys. But I just want to say
That's
thank
one of
you
you.
to you all. Know that we haven't forgotten about you. Know that we love you guys and we respect you. And yeah, thank you for coming along.
You guys
with
are the
journey.
reason we've even stuck with YouTube, right? Like
That's true.
We didn't have to do it, but we started getting all these wonderful, sweet, amazing messages. Like, I watched these videos, I tried this, I took this chance, you inspired me, it changed my life. I finally could take my family to like Disney World for the first time, you know, and it gives me goosebumps and it makes me want to cry because it's amazing to think we inspired somebody, what? And then
awesome.
they made extra money because of something we did and said, and now their life is better because of us. I mean, we've had some amazing messages, like from people who got out of jail and they couldn't get a career in anything, and they turned their entire life around, and nobody would hire them, and this is the only thing they could do, and they took that chance, and now they're successful, and they're a better person for it, and they're back in good graces with their family, and they've rebuilt their relationships because they feel good about themselves,
See
and
that?
they've like made themselves a better person. Yeah, so
Oh.
I know I'm gonna cry, but like, oh, I'm teary-eyed. But
Those
it's
are,
just
that's the reason why we still do this, though. It's for
that's
those-
the reason
for
we do
those
this.
stories.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And if you haven't been inspired by us, like, not saying
Just hit the
that
thumbs
we're
up.
only for the people who we inspired, but I mean, it's also nice that we can entertain somebody.
For sure, yeah.
know?
And it's also nice that we can look back on our own lives. If we keep doing YouTube for the next 20 years, we're going to be, you know, almost 60.
And we have a community. There's like a
Yes.
legitimate, amazing
Yeah.
community. I mean, if you read through the comments, these are such good, kind, wonderful, incredible people.
I agree.
And everybody wants to help
Most-
each
most
other.
of them.
Most
So-
of them, yeah. I mean, obviously, there's going to be keyboard warriors, which is fine because that they're just probably projecting their own issues.
Sure.
And I get that. I respect that. You do you. But I definitely
Keep
am
watching.
here for
We like
the
this.
positivity. Yeah, maybe we can turn that person's attitude around.
Keep watching, Sean.
And then if we do the meetups, that's what's really awesome. We can start doing
Yes.
that again, meeting everybody
Yes.
in actual person.
Yeah.
So that's really fun. I do love that.
I think that this is probably a good point to end this video, though. So,
Yeah, before I start crying.
yes. Thank you guys again. We appreciate it. Thanks to Callie for
Callie's here
being
filming.
awesome and filming and being such an amazing employee. And we love you guys, and we'll see you on the next one. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh.
Bye, guys.